on
Oh, good afternoon, everybody. What's happening, everybody? Wednesday, August 6th, 2025. My name is Kevin Smith. Thank you all so much for tuning in to Loud Majority Live. We got a jam-packed show for you guys today. We are, of course, following the breaking news happening over the course of the last hour or so. An active shooter at Fort Stewart in Georgia. They say this is about 100 miles south of Savannah. Current reports are that 5 have been shot. No one has died as of yet. We're going to continue to monitor the situation here with CBS reporting.
Breaking news.
Or CNN reporting.
Breaking news just coming in. Fort Stewart in Georgia is locked down for an active shooter situation. This is according to a Fort Stewart police spokesperson. Let's go live to CNN correspondent Isabel Rosales. What are you learning, Isabel?
Hey, Pam, we're working to gather details, but of course the situation still breaking, unfolding, very active. Here's what we do have, that Fort Stewart is under a lockdown. This is per the U.S. Army's Fort Stewart police spokesperson that confirmed to CNN, quote, there is an active shooter, but did not give additional details as to the status of the shooter, how many shooters there could be. No additional details on that. Now, according to the Fort Worth Facebook page, casualties have been reported and the situation is ongoing. Now, Fort Stewart, trains and deploys active and reserve Army units. This is home to the 3rd Infantry Division, and it's just 40 miles to the southwest of Savannah, Georgia. So still a very quickly unfolding situation. We're working to get more details, Pam.
Yeah, and I know it's tough in these early moments. We're just getting very little. Fort Stewart is also the largest.
So as of right now, 5 people have been shot at Fort Stewart. There is not any casualties at this moment. Fox reported that about 25 minutes ago. We're going to continue to monitor the situation. We've got it all pulled up here. If anything breaks, we will jump right into that. But let's get to the news of the day, because there was a wild story yesterday when 2 teens were arrested after an attack on a Doge worker in an attempted carjacking. A juvenile male and a juvenile female, both 15 years old, from Hyattsville, Maryland, have been arrested and charged with unarmed carjacking. This is pretty wild. This is a pretty wild story. Now, here's my question. 15-year-olds robbing cars. I wonder if their parents were around. Just a thought. 2 arrests have been made in connection with the assault of a former Doge employee. We can confirm that that employee is, in fact, Big Balls. Big Balls was jumped at around 3 a.m. on Sunday. The suspects approached the vehicle, the victims on the 1400 block of Swan Street Northeast, demanding their vehicle. Now, quick question for you. What the hell are you doing out at 3 o'clock in the morning at the age of 15? Maybe your parents should do a little bit better of a job. I'm going to throw that out there. Throw that out there for what it's worth. During the assault, the duo fled. Afterwards, Metro PD cruiser pulled onto the block. The suspects were arrested at the scene. Per Fox News, police identified the woman who was with the assailant, was his significant other. He reportedly pushed the woman into the vehicle to keep her safe, and turned to confront the group, which ended in assault. The assault led to President Trump threatening to federalize D.C. if they didn't crack down on crime. Former Doge head Elon Musk has backed this plan, calling for D.C. to be federalized. A few days ago, a gang of about a dozen men tried to assault a woman in a car at night in D.C. A Doge team member saw what was happening, ran to defend her, and was severely beaten and knocked to the point of concussion. We can confirm to you that employee was, in fact, Big Balls. And here he is, lying bloody in the middle of the street. There's 2 kinds of people in this story. There are the 15-year-olds who decided to ransack a car, and then there's this nerdy-looking Doge employee who apparently was raised correctly and stood up for people being robbed. But hey, what the hell do we know? What the hell do we know? As we said, Elon Musk now backs the federalization of Washington, D.C., which, I mean, probably should be happening anyway. The federal government controls their budget, so why not control everything else? D.C. has been a shithole for a number of years now. Trump said on Truth Social, crime in D.C. is totally out of control. Local youths and gang members, some 14, 15, 16 years old, are randomly attacking, mugging, maiming, shooting innocent citizens at the same time, knowing they will be released almost immediately. They are not afraid of law enforcement because they know nothing ever happens to them. Now, of course, everyone knows that the majority of young people charged in these sorts of circumstances are immediately either let out or given sweetheart deals because of their age. So what do the gang members do? The gang members then go out of their way to recruit 14, 15, and 16-year-olds to do their bidding because they know that even if they get convicted of murder at the age of 14, they're going to be out at 20 anyway. Their life is basically going to be over. So what are they going to do? They're going to come right back to the gang. This has been something that has been a long-standing problem with gangs in the United States. The law in D.C. must be changed to prosecute these minors as adults and lock them up for a long time, starting at the age of 14. The most recent victim was beaten mercilessly by these thugs. Mr. President, I'm a big fan of yours. I don't know about locking up 14-year-olds for the rest of their life. I don't know about that. I'm not sure how I feel about that. Now, some people may disagree with that notion. That would make sense. Though I just as a rule, I would say I'm not a big fan of that. I think people make mistakes when they're young, and I don't think it serves the public any good to have somebody in jail at the age of 14 until the age of 80. I don't know. That's just some people may disagree with that, but what the hell are you gonna do? So Big Balls got attacked in D.C. Obviously, we're hoping he gets better very, very soon. Obviously, we've seen mass beatings of gangs all over the country, from Cincinnati to Washington, D.C. If you're here in the state of New York, it's not too familiar. It's not too unfamiliar to you, considering there are entire neighborhoods on Long Island you cannot go to at night because you will be beaten and robbed by teenagers. I'm talking to you, Brentwood. But, with D.C. being in shambles, there are some members of Congress out there who are focused on the things that matter. What? Furthering the president's agenda? No. Not doing that. Is it protecting your home state? No. It's covering your own ass. And when it comes to covering your own ass, when it comes to members of Congress, we must look to the one, the only, the 80s porn beard, Mike Lawler, who I'm very happy is not going to be governor. Because he's really, really bad at this. Apparently, GOP reps in blue states have decided that they're going to introduce legislation to stop mid-decade redistricting. Obviously, a big topic of concern right now with what is going on with the Texas representatives. Leave it to Mike Lawler to put this one forth. But the most dangerous place in America used to be between Lindsay Lohan and a free bar. Now it's between Mike Lawler and a camera. Because Mike Lawler will do anything to get on camera. So he decided to go on CNN and condemn Texas for their redistricting process. You know why? Because some people are just not a wartime consigliere, and one of those is Mike Lawler.
Texas is doing, I don't support it. I think it is wrong what has happened in Illinois or New Jersey, for instance, which has a quote-unquote independent redistricting commission, where the tie-breaking vote made this declarative statement. Republicans got to draw the map last time, so I'm going to give it to the Democrats, even though it meant resulting in 3 Republicans getting elected. We have to actually have neutral districts across this country. It would serve the country better. I am going to be introducing legislation to outright ban gerrymandering, let alone during mid-decade redistricting, but to not allow it at all. This is fundamentally why Congress is broken. You do not have competitive districts, and so most members are focused on primaries and not actually engaging in a general election.
I mean, look, when it comes to all the bad ideas, go ahead and pick out Mike Lawler. Now, he went on some giant tweet thread, which I hate to break this to most people, wasn't true. But, if you know Mike Lawler, you know damn well that is what he specializes in. He said, can I pull this down a little bit? In 2021, New York Democrats tried to jam through an amendment to the Constitution to weaken the Independent Commission. Voters rejected it. No, they didn't reject it, actually. Actually, it was done by a lawsuit by George Santos. Obviously, we can't bring him up because, he's the only reason why you're in Congress right now, because his lawsuit actually changed the congressional maps, which made them fairer, because his district was the most gerrymandered out of all of them. But that's the big story that everybody's talking about. What Texas is going to do. What Texas is going to do in this redistricting plan. Now, with all that being said, he is joined by Kevin Kelly of California, and both men are eager to hold on to their seats and continue representing the interests of the primarily Republican constituents. Lawler and Kelly were both part of the midterm red wave that we won them here in New York, which saw House seats flip and gain on behalf of Republicans in blue states. The fight over Texas redistricting has gone national. President Trump asked Texas to have a look at the mid-decade redistricting as the state is increased substantially in population over the last 5 years. More important than that, the amount of illegal immigrants have been removed from places like Texas. So how is that going to impact redistricting? Lawler said the court threw out the maps and ordered new ones, a fair map. Republicans won 11 seats. Well, maybe that's when you listen to us. Just a thought. Still not good enough for New York Democrats. They said they want to redraw the map again, despite the state constitution being very clear that they cannot do mid-decade redistricting and cannot gerrymander. Now, with that being said, Mike, elections are done on state levels, so you can take your legislation that you put forth and wipe your ass with it, because that's just about as much as it's good for. Now, I know I'm not a lawyer and I just play one on TV, but I can read the law plain as day as anyone else, and I think you know that. But you're really just auditioning for your next gig on CNN. He's going to try to take over for Scott Jennings. That way, instead of having the MAGA agenda on CNN, we can have the neocon agenda. And when it comes to this Texas law, of course, we've got to leave it to Scott Jennings to put idiot liberals in their place.
The only reason that they're doing this is because Texas Republicans are not playing it fair to Texans, and they're trying to rig the system ahead of the midterm elections.
I think Democrats
and
look
President
politically
Trump said
weak.
that.
I think
Let's let Scott talk. Yeah, Scott talk.
And it's not going to benefit you guys next
Regarding
year.
California, Republicans get about 40% of the vote, and they have 17% of the congressional seats. So not a great example. But number two, if it's rigging the election, that's your words, in Texas, is it going to be rigging the election when all these Democrats who say they're going to gerrymander in the other state, are you also going to argue that they're rigging the election or just in Texas?
Yes,
and have the
do not
elections
agree.
been rigged in Massachusetts, Connecticut, New York, New Jersey, Maryland, New Mexico, Hawaii, Oregon, Washington, and Rhode Island? Have they been rigged there as well? Because there, the proportion of Republican vote comes nowhere near what they have in Congress.
They did a normal redistricting process. If states end up going if states end up going and calling special sessions and doing all of these things to try to gain seats, I agree. I don't agree with that. Do I think they need to do it? Absolutely, because if Republicans aren't going to play fair, then Democrats aren't going to play fair, and that's the fight that we have to have right now.
But Democrats aren't playing fair in some of the states we've
All right,
listed.
we'll see what happens when every state starts redistricting every year, every 2 years, where that leaves us. It's going to be chaos going forward.
Actually, I think it would be great. Actually, I think it would be phenomenal, because Republicans control the majority of the states. I think it would be absolutely phenomenal. But, guys, to give the other version of it, to give the other side, we've, of course, got to look to Robert Francis O'Rourke. Now, some of you may not know who he is because he goes by the name Beto, because I guess Robert Francis O'Rourke sounded too elitist, because nothing says I'm not an elitist like being a 52-year-old on a skateboard. He says that fleeing the state, the abdication of responsibility to do your job, is actually the highest form of service.
So Paxton says Democrats' failure to return constitutes what he calls a, quote, dereliction of their duty as elected officials. What is your response to that?
I think what they're doing is the highest form of public service. They're trying to stop the consolidation of authoritarian power in America as Trump and Greg Abbott and Ken Paxton and the Republicans in Texas, thick as thieves, try to steal these 5 seats in Texas, because without them, Trump's going to lose a majority in the House of Representatives. And without that majority, there's a check on his lawlessness, accountability for his crimes and corruption, and the possibility of free and fair elections going forward. Those 56 Texas Democrats are all that stand between that future and where we are right now. And so we've got to have their backs. And I'm so grateful that tens of thousands of Americans have texted FIGHT to 20377 to make sure they have the resources for their lodging, their food, their flights, and to the point that you made earlier, the defense that they're going to need as.
Make sure you throw in that little fundraising clip right there at the end, Beto, because I know your parents certainly don't have enough money. Let's just see. How much is Beto O'Rourke worth? 66 million. Yeah. So make sure you throw in that fundraising. Make sure you text blah, 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 blah. That way we can inundate you with fundraising text messages all day and all night so that we can keep people in Illinois. Of course, it's important to remember, with these Texas Democrats being in Illinois and New York, they're going to need a lot of fundraising because those states are unaffordable to live in. Wild. I wonder if those Texas Democrats left their guns at home before they got to Illinois. Something tells me that. Now, on the front of what Texas is doing, because they have said that they are going to arrest these people, and Ken Paxton has said he's going to do everything in his power to remove them from their seats if they continue this crap. Cassie Hunt over on CNN. She used an interesting choice of words when describing whether or not Greg Abbott has the ability to do what he wants to do. She used an interesting choice of words. And Chad, do me a favor and let me know if you think that if a Republican had said this about Tammy Baldwin, if it would have just slid as it did.
And senior national correspondent Ed Lavandera is inside the Texas State Capitol building. Ed, lawmakers going to try to establish this quorum again on Friday. I think my question to you is, does the governor have a leg to stand on here?
Well, they're going to try the legal process here, which they hadn't done in the last time that this was happened. So Democrats do not feel that the Republicans on this legal fight to remove them from office have a leg to stand on. Many of them have told us that they believe these are simply hollow threats. But come Friday, it sounds like the Attorney General is going to begin to attempt that process through the courts.
He doesn't what? He doesn't what? He doesn't have a leg to stand on? Yeah, that's because he's paralyzed, dumbass. Now, I'm sure if I had said that about Tammy Baldwin, or if I had, they tried this when we all made fun of Al Green for walking around with his pimp cane. We tried that then. We laughed our asses off because that cane is ridiculous. Now, what if Republicans had said that? Do you think that would have just, hey, poor choice of words, let it slide? No, I don't think so. I think there would have been a scandal, and there would have had to be press conferences, and up, down, left ways, and sideways, every single person in the world would have had to have apologized for this unbelievable transgression. But because it's CNN, and let's be honest, nobody saw that, because, it's daytime on CNN. You could stick your head out the window and yell, and more people would hear it. nobody really noticed. Nobody really noticed. We're going to get to more news in just a second because John Stossel does a phenomenal breakdown of the awfulness of Zohran Mamdani. We've got more illegal immigrants killing American citizens, which is just sort of par for the course at this point. So much more we're going to get to before we get to all of that. Old Glory Bank.
When big banks decide who gets access to America's financial systems and who doesn't, who do you think gets left out? Middle Americans who proudly wave their pro-America values. Cancel culture in banking is corrosive. It limits your participation in a vibrant, free market economy. Fortunately, you can fight back. You now have the opportunity to invest in the bank that's investing in a fair American banking system, one based in freedom. Ownership in Old Glory Bank, the pro-America online bank, is here. Old Glory Bank is a full-service FDIC-insured bank that's the alternative to overreaching, un-American big banks. We stand for privacy, security, and liberty. We stand for freedom, family, faith, and the flag. We stand for all the values you stand for, and for the values big banks can't stand. So help keep banking in the hands of Main Street, not Wall Street. To invest in Old Glory Bank, go to oldglorybank.com.
Guys, head on over to oldglorybank.com. That's oldglorybank.com and lock in those interest rates today before Jerome Powell either gets fired or wises up. Head on over to oldglorybank.com. That's oldglorybank.com. So on the immigration front, look, we've gotten so much good news over the course of the last several days, over the course of the last several months when it comes to immigration, the number one issue that the election was voted on. I continue to be told every single day by Democrats that I didn't vote for this, when in fact, this is exactly what I voted for. Well, now we, turns out ICE is offering all sorts of benefits if you would like to sign up to become an immigration and customs enforcement agent. All sorts of benefits. They'll repay your student loans for you legally. They'll give you a $50,000 sign-on bonus. They'll pay for your moving. And now they've even got a very special spokesman out there letting you know all the benefits of joining.
Hey everybody, Dean Cain here. And for those who don't know, I am a sworn law enforcement officer as well as being a filmmaker. I felt it was important to join with our first responders to help secure the safety of all Americans, not just talk about it. So I joined up. And here's your opportunity to join ICE. You can earn lots of great benefits and pay. Yet since President Trump took office, ICE has arrested hundreds of thousands of criminals, including terrorists, rapists, murderers, pedophiles, MS-13 gang members, drug traffickers, you name it. Very dangerous people who are no longer on the streets. You can defend your homeland and get great benefits like a $50,000 signing bonus. Think about that. Student loan repayment legally. Enhanced retirement benefits and special pay for those in the field operations and law enforcement roles. I don't get that special pay, but you also don't need an undergraduate degree. You can get to work right away. So if you want to help save America, ICE is arresting the worst of the worst and removing them from America's streets. I like that. I voted for that. They need your help. We need your help to protect our homeland and our families. So check into it, as I said, and join today if it's something that tickles your fancy, because we can use you.
In case you guys don't know who that is, he's actually the all-time interception leader at Princeton University. He was also Superman. Definitely more impressive all-time interception leader at Princeton. Dean Cain, now a spokesman for ICE. We quite literally have Superman on our side. Maybe he'll just, leaps and bounds or whatever the hell the quote was. I never watched Superman because I was into girls, so I never really got into the comic book thing. But we've now got Superman on our side, which is good to know, which is good to hear, which is great news. Why? Because every single day, without failure, we are getting more and more information about illegal immigrants continuing to kill Americans and then drive away.
A man is in custody in connection with a deadly hit and run in Coraopolis. Police there say the victim was crossing 4th Avenue at the Main Street intersection when an SUV hit him. The driver took off. But tonight, Shelley Borst shows us how police found the driver and what they've learned about him and the man who died.
The video shows the victim almost made it to the sidewalk here before he was struck by that SUV. Now flowers mark the spot where this tragedy happened.
It's heartbreaking. It really is.
Carol Tompkins is the manager at this Sunoco service station on 4th Avenue. When she learned who the victim was in the deadly hit and run that happened right in front of her store, she was devastated. While police have not yet publicly released the man's name, Tompkins says word has quickly spread through the community. She says he would greet her with a hello every morning as he stood by the front door waiting for his ride to work. When she didn't hear that warm greeting today that she got so used to, she says it hit home.
He was an amazing person. He was like a big shot in Coraopolis because everybody loved him. I mean, there was not one bad thing ever said about him. Look, now I have the goosebumps. He was a great person.
Tompkins shared the gas station surveillance video with us. It shows the victim standing at the intersection of 4th and Main waiting to cross the street. You see him look both ways before crossing. He almost makes it to the sidewalk when the SUV comes into focus. We chose to stop the video there.
It made me sick to my stomach. That was the worst thing I've ever seen in my life.
Coraopolis police tell us they were able to locate the driver at his home in Ambridge through traffic light cameras and license plate readers on Route 65. KDKA-TV learned the driver is an undocumented immigrant and has been detained by ICE. Meantime, people who knew the victim are...
Wait a minute. You know, I love it how they wait till 2.5 minutes into the damn clip that he's an undocumented immigrant. So whoever the guy is who died in that Pittsburgh suburb didn't have to die because the person who ran him over shouldn't have been in the country in the first place. But guys, I didn't vote for this. I mean, that's what I'm told every day on X, that I didn't vote for roundups at Home Depot. Except for that part where I did. I voted for it 10 years ago, when Trump, 9 years ago, when Trump ran in 2016. I voted for it in 2020, and I voted for it again now. The only difference is that now I'm actually getting it, and people out there like Tom Homan are saying that these immigration facilities that we're seeing popping up all over the country, they need to be bigger. They need to be much bigger. Way bigger. And I couldn't agree more. Here's Tom Homan.
We can do everything we can to protect Americans.
Well, look, DHS has announced that we will see a new version of Alligator Alcatraz. It's going to pop up in Indiana. It's dubbed the Speedway Slammer and will be located 65 miles north of Indianapolis at the Miami County Correctional Facility there. Detention space will be expanded to hold about 1,000 beds to house most violent illegal criminals. And this is just before they get deported. So that's where they'll be. Alligator Alcatraz opened this summer in Florida, to remind everybody. And it can now hold 2,000 detainees and is expected to hold up to 4,000 in the future. Deportation flights of illegals there started at the end of last month. You know, it's hard to believe that they're going to be held here for any period of time. Why can't we just kick these people out? Like, they're here illegally and they're committing further crimes.
Well, that's our intent, right? So I appreciate the other 1,000-bed facility. Mm-hmm. I would like to see larger facilities where we hold 4,000 or 5,000 people, and make that creates another efficiency. Have them one place, have an airline right there, a landing strip right there at the facility. That creates efficiencies, removes them quicker. We can move people in and out quicker. So I'd like to see the bigger facilities, but every 1,000-bed facility we bring on helps. We need 100,000 beds. That's what we asked for in the big, beautiful bill. That's what we got. 100,000 beds means we move people in and out more quickly. So I hope and pray we get to 100,000 beds as quick as possible. And I agree with you. Look, the whole process is arrest them quickly, remove them quickly. And that's why we're arresting the significant public safety threats and national security threats. And many of them have final orders already. They've had due process at great taxpayer expense. And that's why we're also looking for 1.4 million illegal aliens who already had due process and have an order removal on standby. These are also easily removable aliens. That's why we added them to the priorities.
Wow. And so somebody has to be harboring some of these people. I mean, they're getting help inside the country. How do you hide 1.4 million?
That's a great question. You probably do it through Catholic Charities, which are the next people who should be investigated. We're going to talk about, we got some more news we're going to get to over the course of the night. What do we got, 23 minutes as we are rocking and rolling here, 1 p.m. on Loud Majority Live. Just a quick programming note for everybody watching. Starting on Monday, I'll be back on LFA TV, this time at 3 p.m. So for anybody watching on any of the other channels, this show will air at 3 p.m. from now on. So keep it locked in here for that. Keep it at 3 p.m. We're going to do it a little bit later in the day. A little bit of a programming switch up. So, guys, keep it locked in here for that. Also, guys, do me a favor and head on over to LoudMajorityUSA.com. That's LoudMajorityUSA.com. Sign up for the newsletter. Check out our shop. That is the best way to support the Loud Majority and everything we've got going on over here. We've got great stuff over on the shop with even more to come. Pick up all your fall gear now. And you guys can use promo code RUMBLE to get 20% off everything on the website. That's promo code RUMBLE to get 20% off everything on the website. So, Jim Acosta. You guys will remember Jim Acosta. He was the grandstander in the first Trump administration who went on to have a failing show on CNN. Now he's podcasting. So naturally, because he's podcasting, he has to put on the angry lesbian glasses that Rachel Maddow and Rosie O'Donnell and Whoopi Goldberg and Rachel Maddow and Mark Cuban all wear. Well, he did something that is so wrong on so many levels, ethically, morally, normally, whatever you want to call it. Jim Acosta did an interview with a kid who died in the Parkland shooting. Now, many of you may be asking, Kevin, how the hell do you do an interview with a dead kid? Well, it turns out he used AI software to create what this kid would have looked like now and then interviewed him on gun control. I'm sorry, this is the creepiest shit ever.
Joaquin, I would like to know what your solution.
I want to be clear. The person on the right is not alive. He didn't even look like this when he died. But Jim Acosta thought it necessary to interview him.
Would be for gun violence.
Great question. I believe in a mix of stronger gun control laws, mental health support, and community engagement. We need to create safe spaces for conversations and connections, making sure everyone feels seen and heard. It's about building a culture of kindness and understanding. What do you think about that?
I think that's a great idea, Joaquin.
I don't even know what to say about this. That's the creepiest shit I've ever seen in my... You interview a dead person? A dead child? And then, like, try to get your point across about gun control? When the robots kill us all, because let's be honest, they're going to. They're going to kill us all one day. If you've seen any sci-fi movie from the 80s, you know exactly what I'm talking about. When that happens, this will be the moment we look back on, and people all need to come together and go, stop doing that. Also, if we're going to interview people who have already died, let's interview Tupac and see who he thinks killed him. Let's interview Malcolm X and see whether or not he believes it was Louis Farrakhan, which, you know, let's be honest. I'm not going to say that because Louis Farrakhan has a shitload of money, but, see what happens. This is the weirdest thing ever. And what's even weirder about it is that they spoke to this. And look, I want to be clear. I don't have kids. I have never lost a child, so I don't know what this dad happens to be going through. But the father of this young man seems to think that if you have any issue with this, that actually you're the problem. Not the fact that Jim Acosta just interviewed an AI version of a dead child. He thinks it's your fault.
Hey. Hello, everyone. This is Manuel Oliver. I am Joaquin Oliver's father. Today, he should be turning 25 years old. And my wife, Patricia, and myself, we asked our friend Jim Acosta to make an interview, have an interview with our son, because now, thanks to AI, we can bring him back. It was our idea, it was our plan, and it's still our plan. We feel that Joaquin has a lot of things to say, and as long as we have an option that allows us to bring that to you and to everyone, we will use it. So stop blaming people about where he's coming from, or blaming Jim about what he was able to do. If the problem that you have is with the AI, then you have the wrong problem. The real problem is that my son was shot 8 years ago. So if you believe that that is not the problem, you are part of the problem.
Look, I'm not going to criticize a guy who lost his kid or whatever, and I'm sure if I lost a child, I would do everything possible to want to see that kid again grow up. But look, man, what just happened is not okay. It's just not okay. And look, I joked around before about interviewing Tupac and Malcolm X about who killed them. I want to be clear. If Jim Acosta did that, it would be just as weird as this. It would be just as weird. You remember what was it? It had to be like 10 years ago now. They did that hologram of Tupac at Coachella. That was weird. It was weird. It just was. I mean, that was like a weird light show, so I guess it wasn't as bad. Could have just been like playing a video, but it was weird. It was real weird. It's just not normal. It's just, look, it just isn't. There's no, maybe I can't find the words to utter, but it's just not normal. It just simply isn't. Guys, we'll be back in 1 second with someone else that isn't normal. That would be Zohran Mamdani. Before that, Mike Lindell.
I'm excited to announce that we're having our first ever mega sale on overstock clearance and brand new products. For example, save over 50% on this season's flannel sheets. Queen size only $59.98. Kings only $69.98. They sell out fast every year, so order now. Save 20% on our brand new My Crosses. They're designed in the likeness of the one I've worn every day for over 20 years. They come in men's and women's, and they're made right here in the USA. Get our 2025 six-piece My Towel sets for only $29.98. Our initial quantities are extremely low, so get them now before they go. And our best-selling standard My Pillows, just $14.98. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use this promo code to take advantage of our first ever mega sale. But wait, remember that $75 free shipping rule? Well, that ship is sailed, because right now, every order ships absolutely free.
Guys, head on over to MyPillow.com, promo code LOUD. That's MyPillow.com, promo code LOUD for up to 80% off everything on the website. That's MyPillow.com, promo code LOUD. So John Stossel, if you guys remember him, used to do long investigative pieces on people all the time. Well, John Stossel normally doesn't comment on local politics, but he has decided to come out of the woodwork right now. And talk about Mr. Zohran Mamdani, guys. And of course, if you guys remember John Stossel, he was always hilarious. Here he is.
I will be your Democratic nominee for the mayor of New York City.
Zohran Mamdani will probably be my next mayor.
He's popular.
Winning more primary votes than any mayoral candidate in New York City history.
People like him because he's good looking, charismatic.
Chop, chop, chop it up. Chop, 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 chop it up.
The media can't get enough of him.
And joining me now is Zohran Mamdani.
They also like him because he's
a proud democratic socialist.
A democratic socialist, like AOC.
I am here loud and proud to rank Zohran Mamdani #1 for mayor of New York City.
They and most of the media have something in common.
Do you like capitalism?
No, I have many critiques of capitalism.
I don't usually cover local politics, but I'll make an exception for Mamdani because what he believes is what so many privileged young people believe. And these socialist ideas are just stupid. In this video and the next, we'll look at why socialist policies always backfire.
Socialism. Terrifying word.
Mamdani mocks those who fear socialism. He says democratic socialism just means
a commitment to dignity, a state that provides whatever is necessary for its people to live a dignified life.
That sounds nice, but a dignified life is not what socialism brings. Mamdani was more honest about that before he ran for mayor.
The end goal of seizing the means of production.
Seizing the means of production. That means government controls most everything. To house poor people, government should take over apartment buildings.
Whether you call it the abolition of private property or you call it, just a statewide housing guarantee, it is preferable to what is going on right now.
But abolition of private property has been tried.
¿Y este edificio?
Es un edificio que tiene comercio privado de joyería.
Expropiese. Expropiese.
Everywhere it's been tried, government ownership wrecks lives. Here's what grocery stores sometimes look like in socialist Venezuela. Yet Mamdani says,
I will create a network of city-owned grocery stores whose mission is lower prices, not price gouging. These stores will operate without a profit motive and will pass on those savings to you.
No profit motive. That appeals to people. But the profit motive is exactly what keeps stores stocked and why we spend much less on food than we did 100 years ago. And why we have more options.
Hundreds of sales every week.
We have choices because capitalists must compete to get your dollars. Compare your experience at your profit-seeking grocery store to
dysfunction at the DMV.
Government services bring tedious bureaucracy.
People say hours-long waits have been greeting them at the doors.
I don't want my grocery store run like that.
Shelves are empty at an East Kansas City grocery store that's gotten millions of dollars from taxpayers.
Cities have tried subsidizing groceries, but the results aren't pretty.
A rotten smell comes through the door, and anywhere you turn, you'll see products that need to be restocked.
I watch people walk in and walk out.
Yet Mamdani promises
city-owned grocery stores with guaranteed lower prices.
Even if Mamdani's stores work better, they'll cost tax dollars and take customers from businesses that pay taxes.
How are you going to try to come in and disrupt our livelihood?
Mamdani doesn't discuss how subsidies destroy private tax-paying competition. He just says socialism helps everyone by taking from the ultra-rich.
Do you think that billionaires have a right to exist?
I don't think that we should have billionaires.
Mamdani says he'll fund his handouts by taxing the rich. But wealth taxes never bring in what's promised.
People don't work to pay taxes.
Economist Art Laffer famously pointed out that at a certain level, higher taxes stop bringing in more money because rich people work hard to escape high taxes.
They'll change where they earn their income. They'll change how they earn their income. They'll change how much they earn, when they receive the income. They'll change all of those things to minimize taxes.
They will leave the United States.
This billionaire once told me that if New York's taxes go up, rich people will just leave.
You haven't left.
I haven't left yet.
Are you going to leave?
Big story if I leave, I guess. If I leave New York, that's a big story.
He did eventually leave.
The rich people are going to leave, and other people are going to leave. You're going to end up with lots of people that don't produce, and then that's the spiral. That's the end.
It's why Europe axed its wealth taxes. Millionaires just left. Even if you don't like rich people, losing them means losing tax revenue and jobs. In America, it's even easier to leave your city or state Millions have already done that, fleeing places like California, New York, and Illinois. Mamdani sometimes knows this.
We are talking about our tax base growing smaller and smaller each day with New Yorkers leaving.
Everybody's going to check out a Dodge while that guy's around.
It's crazy. It's not like this is a new idea. Does Mamdani even know that his state already tried high taxes on the rich? They didn't work.
We projected that we'd get $4 billion, and we actually got well short of it.
Maryland tried it too.
It was supposed to bring in $106 million.
That's right.
What happened?
They lost $257 million. Surprise.
Well, I'm surprised.
Nobody should be surprised. They're out of here. These people weren't stupid.
Do Mamdani's supporters think this time will be different? In my next video, I'll cover more bad ideas from the socialists. Just economic policy. I'll skip things like defunding the police, globalize the intifada, and Mamdani's lack of experience. The socialist economic proposals, like his $30 minimum wage, are bad enough.
John Stossel has made a career out of breaking down incredibly complex topics for people. Look, why they're going to leave. They're absolutely going to leave. And why wouldn't they leave? Just as Donald Trump did. If you're good enough to make the $1 billion, you're smart enough to leave when you get taxed on it. But people like Zoran don't understand that. Or maybe they do. Maybe they're just, I don't know, maybe they're just nihilists. Maybe they're just nihilists who don't really understand that they're hurting the people, the very people they think that they're going to help. Why? Because if I'm a business developer, if I'm a real estate developer, why the hell would I build in a place that's going to have rent-controlled apartments? When I could just build in Jersey City half a mile away and not have to face that. But, you know, this is what happens when you elect fake people to do real jobs. And luckily we dodged a bullet with this most recent election in 2024. Guys, once again, before we keep rocking and rolling, do me a favor and hit that thumbs up button. Share the video out all over the place for everybody who's watching all over the place. Just know I'll be back LFA TV on Monday at 3 p.m. We had a little bit of a scheduling flare up, so had to take care of some things, but I'll be back on the regular network at 3 p.m. Monday, Wednesday, Friday on LFA TV. Make sure you guys keep it locked in over there. Don't worry, there's no tiff, there's none of that. There's nothing happening over there. I'll keep you all abreast of that situation. But it is time for us to laugh a little. It is time for us to laugh. We talked about some serious stuff. I don't know if you guys have heard of this. There's an organization out there. It's called the WNBA. It's called the WNBA. It's like the NBA, only shittier. Apparently, over the course of the last several weeks, people have repeatedly and for no discernible reason been throwing bright green dildos onto the court. I don't know why they're doing this, but they've been doing it for like a week now. And there's a new star in the WNBA. Her name is Sophie Cunningham. No, Scott, Monday through Friday. There's a new star in the WNBA named Sophie Cunningham, who she suffers from that disease that Sydney Sweeney has. So Democrats hate her. It's the being incredibly hot disease. She tweeted out the other day that people should stop throwing dildos onto the court because somebody is going to get hurt. Well, yesterday, someone threw another dildo onto the court, and it turns out it actually hit her. It actually hit her. So she tweeted out, "Stop throwing dildos onto the court. You're going to hurt one of us." And then following being struck with the rubber penis, she tweeted out, "This didn't age well." Which, I got to be honest with you, that's just really funny. That's just really funny. Sophie Cunningham hit with a rubber penis. Stunts have even resulted in arrest. A 23-year-old is facing disorderly conduct and public indecency charges. That's weird. For hurling one of the items onto the court last week. He was booked in the Clayton County Jail in Georgia on Saturday for the stunt last Tuesday. His case, according to information online, is currently pending. He was released from jail on Sunday. Think about this, right? Hey, Ma. Yeah, you got to come pick me up at the courthouse. What did I do? I threw a green rubber dildo onto a WNBA court. I want to hear the phone call. I want to hear that phone call. That is absolutely hilarious. Guys, we're going to wrap up a couple minutes early today because I got to head back to work. But I want to thank everybody so much for tuning in. Do me a favor and once again, hit the thumbs up button on your way out the door. I will catch you guys back live tomorrow. Same time, same place. Until then, everybody, stay loud.